Buddhism is one of the world's more important religions, not only in terms of the number of its adherents, but also because of its influence beyond the bounds of mere doctrine. Buddhism arose in the northeast of India in the 6th century before Christ, when Siddhartha Gautama attained enlightenment following a period of strict aesthetic practices which had failed to provide the spiritual satisfaction he sought. He preached his first sermon, known as the Sermon on the Movement of the Wheel of Dharma, to his first disciples near the town now called Sanath, near Benares. The teachings of the Buddha affirm that nothing is permanent or indestructible, and that living beings are governed by the cycle of birth and death, samsara, until action or karma ends. At that moment, one enters nirvana, ultimate release. The Buddha used the Four Noble Truths as a basis for explaining the unhappiness that exists in the world, and for describing the path enabling it to be overcome. In these he stated that life is suffering, and that this is caused by desire. Yet suffering may be overcome by conquering desire, and this victory is achieved by following the Eightfold Path, where vision, resolve and word should be pure, and conduct, work, effort and attention must be correct. Not long after the death of the Buddha, there was an important split amongst his followers, and this resulted in two major divisions, Theravada and Mahayana. With the passage of time, other sects and branches of the Buddhist faith appeared. The Buddhist school of Theravada, followers of the old path, as they called themselves, maintain that nirvana is attained through personal effort, and that everything an individual does, their karma, must be aimed at making them worthy of achieving final liberation. Mahayana, on the other hand, believes in the simultaneous liberation of all beings. Theravada today extends through Sri Lanka and Southeast Asia. One of the more surprising characteristics of religious practice in Myanmar, formerly Burma, is the vast number of both men and women who embrace monastic life for a period of several years. Some of them, however, remain there all their life as monks or pyongis. Men enter monastic life at least twice during their lifetime. The first occasion is preceded by a specific ceremony, the Shimpyu, where the child, always younger than the age of 9, agrees to follow the strict rules of his new life as a novice. Their heads are shaved, and they receive their habits as a clear indication of their renunciation of worldly goods. Novices are subjected to harsh precepts. Amongst others, they are forbidden to eat after midday, sleep in a bed, wear jewelry, or receive money for personal use. Life in the monasteries is anything but easy, as the children must learn that the path to liberation requires sacrifices. In barely 9 days, the period of time considered most appropriate, the novices must adapt fully to monastic life, even though their stay may not be forever. One of their first tasks consists of finding food. Monks are only permitted to eat what they are given by the faithful, and they are not allowed to accept cooked dishes. The time for eating is one of the few moments of rest in their otherwise long days of work and study indoors. The monks rise early to go in search of sustenance. They stand in lines, and holding their eating bowls, set off to beg from the faithful they encounter on their way. For the local people, offering them food means an act of goodwill on their quest for salvation, as applies also to the making of donations and offerings in the temples. In Myanmar, women too have their own religious orders, although they are not subjected to such strict rules as the men. The nuns, Thilashins in Burmese, shave their heads, wear pink robes, and recite their prayers in the same way as the men. They too set off outside in search of food, although they are allowed to accept cooked food and receive money. Nevertheless, the Burmese grant less importance to the merits of the nuns, for these have only to abide by 9 commandments, and the very fact of being a woman stems from their having led a poor existence in a previous life. A specific school of Buddhism is the Lamist or Tibetan, which extends through Tibet and Central Asia. As with Mahayana, it incorporates as one of the basic aspects of its doctrine the figure of the Bodhisattva, an ideal being who, despite having earned the right to enter nirvana, chooses not to do so and stays to help others on their quest for salvation. The prayers of the Lamists are reinforced with mantras, sacred utterances, which are repeated continuously as an aid to progress along the path to perfection. This form of Buddhism has in the Dalai Lama its head and spiritual leader. The Dalai Lama is the incarnation of the Bodhisattva Avalokitesvara, Lord of Tibet. Another specific characteristic of Lamaism is the performing of esoteric rites, which reinforce the links between the faithful and their beliefs. Nothing is left to improvisation, and all the ceremonies are repeated conscientiously as part of the longing for salvation inherent in all religions. From the prayer wheels placed in the temples, or in the fluttering of the flags, their prayers are carried up to heaven.